Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update video today. We'll have a bit of a chat about what has happened in Spain over the last week or so, a week in review video if you like, and we'll also have a bit of an update on some of the news that I have seen here in Portugal. So stay tuned. Now it's another mild grey day here on the Silver Coast in central Portugal. Haven't seen the sun for about 3 or 4 days now. But unlike the other day when it was drizzling, today that is not the case. And if I turn the camera around, you can see that we have very calm conditions today on the Atlantic. But as I said, no sun. So what has happened in Spain over the last week or so? As we know, Monday kicked off with another government mandate, the government announcing that they were going to limit the temperature that businesses could set air conditioners to at 27 degrees Celsius, only to rectify later in the week. Yesterday the government rectified and said that it will be 25 degrees Celsius for some businesses, because obviously not all business working conditions are the same. It's not the same to be working in a hot kitchen as it is to be sitting down in an office. That is what the government said. So changes to that mandate already. Another mandate announced was that businesses will have to turn off their shop window lights at 10 p.m. And of course, this irked one of the regions in Spain, Madrid, and its premier, Ms. Ayuso, and she said that Madrid would not be complying to this new rule. But I think she has also rectified and said that they will follow the rules. Madrid will follow the rules, and but there is division politically on this topic already, which, as we know, is not unusual for Spain. The international press, as usual, was quick to pick up on these new mandates. Headlines with things like British holidaymakers are going to swelter in Spain this summer. Irish press was also saying something similar, because people coming down to Spain in the middle of a heat wave and asking the question whether or not 27 degrees Celsius will suffice. Because what are air conditioners normally set at in buildings, in shops and things like that? Are they normally set to around 23, 24 degrees Celsius? I don't know. As you guys know, I don't have air conditioning, so I can't really comment on the topic. But I think that is what businesses set air conditioning to, 23, 24 degrees, especially when it's 40 degrees outside. And but as I said, the UK press, the Irish press, already warning people that they may swelter on their holidays in Spain. So again, those sensationalist newspapers trying to put people off having a holiday in Spain. And has air conditioning now become the new frontier when it comes to the climate change debate? Are we going to see more changes in the future? Possibly banning air conditioning units? I don't know, but some people are putting that idea out there. So let us know what you think in the comment section below. As we know, in countries like Spain, air conditioning units are fundamental for the summer months. Not so in other European countries, of course, because the weather doesn't really get that hot. But in countries like Spain, Portugal, air conditioning fundamental. And I even have a friend who has 5 air conditioning units at his home. He has made a big investment in air conditioning, and I'm not sure what he's going to do when it comes to lowering the temperature of his air conditioning units. But as I said, this could be the new frontier when it comes to the climate change debate. Air conditioning. Now, another story that popped up this week related to shortages. Apparently there is an ice shortage in some parts of the country. The comment section on the videos were a bit mixed on this topic. People saying, why is there an ice shortage when you can make ice at home? And I think one of the reasons is that in Spain people prefer to buy ice because it's cheap. You can get a bag of ice in a supermarket for around 70, 80 cents, not that expensive. And people prefer to buy ice in a supermarket or a shop rather than make their own, basically. The ice shortages have apparently come about because ice manufacturers are having problems with high energy costs and also sourcing some of the materials needed to make ice. And apparently some companies are making ice on a daily basis rather than having to store it in freezers because of those high energy costs. And that's what's leading to a shortage. Apparently the day-to-day nature of ice making in Spain. And I've said it on many occasions, Spain is an ice using country. Every bar, restaurant that you go to in Spain normally gives you a lot of ice. And as I said, people normally have a couple of bags of ice in their freezers for those long, cool drinks on long, hot summer days. And according to one article that I read, ice shortages may just be the beginning of more shortages in Spain. This article said that come autumn there may be chicken shortages and there may be milk shortages also again in Spain. So we'll see. Now, time for some Portuguese news now, or at least some news related to the plight of British residents here in Portugal. I was watching the television news last night on one of the main stations here, and there was a report about how some British residents in Portugal are in limbo at the moment because they don't have updated residency permits. Apparently the Portuguese government has been slow to issue biometric cards, and the old residency cards, which were sheets of paper basically, are no longer valid, and it's causing problems for various British people when they travel around the European Union, and also when it comes to getting access to health services, schools, and even sometimes jobs. So that news making headlines again today, and I think, as usual, it is a result of Brexit and the way that governments in both Spain and Portugal have been slow to get things done. We know that in Spain there is still a driver's license exchange issue for British people, which was apparently going to be sorted by the end of July, but that has apparently not happened, and people are still waiting to be able to exchange their British driver's licenses for Spanish ones. So British people living in both Spain and Portugal having problems at the moment given the post-Brexit situation. It's a shame. And the final thing I'm going to talk about today is an article that I read yesterday in the Financial Times, and I think the headline of the article was, "How are people going to live in central Spain in 50 years' time, given the problems there due to extreme heat, depopulation, and other things like that?" In general, the article was fairly positive. I'm not sure whether the author is a resident in Spain or just somebody who travels to Spain frequently, but there were some positive comments. For example, he said that in Spain people have one of the best qualities of life in the world, and a lot of people no doubt would agree with that. He also made an interesting observation that the north of the country, the green Spain, could become the most popular tourist destination in Spain, given the heat waves that places like the Mediterranean and places like Andalusia are suffering currently. People heading to the northern part of the country to experience cooler climates over the next few years or decades. That could indeed be the case, because as we know, it is getting very, very hot in some of those Mediterranean and coastal areas, not to mention the interior part of the country as well. And he also spoke about Spain's capital, Madrid, and how it's becoming a hub for wealthy South Americans, people coming from countries like Venezuela and Argentina to Spain, trying to escape countries that don't function and coming to a Spanish-speaking country that does indeed function reasonably well. So people from those South American countries deciding to pack up and move to Madrid. And although, as I said, the article was in general fairly positive, he did pick up on one negative aspect of living in Spain. And although he said that people in Spain enjoy fantastic quality of life, he said that the housing that Spanish people have to live in or put up with is absolutely terrible. Soviet-style housing, I think he called it. And in his opinion, housing in Spain leaves a lot to be desired. Because, as we know, the majority of Spanish people live in flats, especially in cities, and a lot of the times those flats are not very attractive, especially from the outside. And I have on many occasions on this channel mentioned just how ugly Spanish housing can be, especially some of the apartment blocks. So that is one of the negative things that he picked up on this article on Spain. So an interesting article in the Financial Times about the future of Spain and some of the problems and challenges that the country faces. So check it out if you've got the opportunity. already. Now on that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. I'll leave you with this fantastic view of the Atlantic Ocean, which I have been doing over the last few weeks. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.